Welcome back. This time around, instead of your usual Know Your Operator session, we have an extra special one hosting Audit.one. We're very happy to have you guys with us. Jerome and Rohit, glad to have you on board. Today we're going to be talking not only about them, about the company, we're also going to be discussing the proposal. So the objective today is not only give the background and the story behind the project, but it is also designed for you to understand the reasoning, the logic, and the team behind the proposal. So without further ado, it'll be really interesting and great for everyone to hear a little bit more about the team and about the project behind the proposal.
All right, awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot for hosting us here. We're happy to be here and to share a bit more about ourselves, about Audit.one, and about our vision for staking in general, and for what we can do together with ssv. So maybe we can start with introductions. I'll start with myself. So my name is Jeroen. I'm driving growth and business development for Audit.one. Which is the infrastructure arm of the persistence ecosystem. Audit.one was actually launched in 2020 to bootstrap operations for persistence before we were able to fundraise. And we actually naturally grew from there bit by bit to become one of the larger validators across South Asia. Today we run validator nodes on about 25 or 26 now different proof of stake networks with about $600 million worth of assets under delegation onto our nodes. We've actually had an ETH node as well. It's not on the website there, but we've had an ETH node as well from the start of the beacon chain, but we never really developed a product around it. But now that we start to see really an increase in demand, and especially from our institutional clients, we want to meet that demand and really bring our experience that we have from running all these proof of stake networks to Ethereum, with ssv actually as the backbone for more decentralization and trust. So I'll leave it to Rohit maybe to introduce himself now.
Yeah. So yeah. My name is Rohit. I am the protocol specialist at Audit.one. I have been developing with the Peacetake guys to help with how their protocol will work and how the infrastructure will look like. I help Audit with the system setup for many chains and how the different new technologies can be integrated while setting up those validators chain and how those will work. And also working on some projects on the audit side as well. I'll be working on the staking protocol for the audit as well. So we have some staking solutions for the Cosmos based chains as of now. As the Ethereum is moving to a more proof of stake concept protocol, we'll be trying our hands on the Ethereum as well now. Yeah.
Maybe to add on there and to clarify a little bit between Audit.one and Peacetake and persistence, because I'm not sure if that's always as clear to the community. So persistence is basically the wider ecosystem and the overarching kind of group almost or layer one to multiple projects. One of the projects that came out of persistence was Comdex, which is a synthetic assets trading platform. We have a project which is called Peacetake, which is a liquid staking solution on which you can stake assets and get derivative tokens in return, and to use those further onto DeFi. We have an NFT project with persistence, or as part of the persistence ecosystem, which is called Asset Mantle, which is a bit of an NFT marketplace, a bit of the Shopify for NFTs. And then we have Audit.one, which is the infrastructure arm basically that helps to initially support all these projects with the infrastructure part of the thing. But also running other chains or validators on other chains to help secure their network, to be an active part of the community, to also share our learnings from what we learn within the persistence ecosystem towards other ecosystems and to help out there, be active and so on. That's kind of how the things are structured at Persistence, but at the moment, so the main focus is really to bring more staking and liquid staking solutions to the community and to the users, where so Audit and Peacetake will play a major role in that.
Is it fair to say that Audit.one is sort of the backend infrastructure part of the group, and then Peacetake is more focused on the application layer?
Well, yes and no. So the Peacetake team also has their own people who can deal with the backend. It's just initially, or like with every launch and setup, we're kind of there to assist, and we have a few resources that overlap and then work together on certain things. And that's the beauty of being part of an ecosystem, is that we have resources with a lot of different experiences across the board that can be pulled in left and right when we need them to build solutions, both front end and back end, basically. But yeah, it's fair to say that Audit is a bit more focused on the infrastructure and the back end part, while Peacetake obviously builds the entire stack, including the front end for liquid staking there.
Is there a core business or a main business for you guys? I mean, a core focus for the group, or the main revenue generator for the group at this point, or is it like different projects and everything is resourced more or less the same?
No, I think that the core focus is really on staking and liquid staking, and doing that within the Persistence ecosystem. So yeah, I think really staking and liquid staking is the major focus, and the other projects are kind of building on top of Persistence, and we support them, but they kind of lead their own life. So those projects are almost like fully managed by themselves and are not really like integrated within the same resource. That's really separate resources that go for their projects there, where we as Persistence support where possible.
Yeah, I sorry for jumping in earlier. I forgot to introduce Adam, one of the guys, the core guys involved with SSV. So he's also here on the call to ask the difficult questions. This was a great introduction, by the way. Thank you for that information. I can also, let's say that I'm putting on the community hat today. So I'll be asking the questions coming in from the community. A lot of the people involved in voting and in the decision-making process in the community always want to know about your clients. So they want to hear who your primary or typical client is, location-wise and activity-wise. So maybe if you could share a few more words about that before we jump into the technicalities, that would be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. So I mean, with clients for our staking products as Audit, it's obviously not always that clear to know where the delegations are coming from. A lot of our delegations come from at least from what we know, from foundations who want to support us, from our community itself, from Peacetake from Persistence, community members who trust us to run secure infrastructure, basically, to stake with us. And then we have a bit of an institutional angle as well, where we have relationships with specific asset managers, fund managers, who also trust us with their delegations. And for some of them even, we run white labeled nodes, which they basically operate under their name, but we help them with the infrastructure solution. Yeah, that kind of sums up the three major clients that we have at the moment. And we're obviously looking to expand that. I think institutional is an angle that we can't ignore. It's becoming bigger and bigger, the interest from institutions into staking as a product. And then eventually we also hope to cater towards developers at some point. But for that, we're still building more tech capabilities to really facilitate everything that could help developers basically to build on top certain things that we are doing.
Mhm.
I'm
Great.
curious to ask about your liquidity tokens, because I know it's an important part of what you do. Usually liquidity tokens are like, what's the connection between liquidity tokens and institutional stakers? Is this something that is important for them? Because for us, liquidity tokens was mostly something that kind of relates to retail stakers, people who are taking those tokens and participating in other DeFi yield generating products. So if you can maybe share a bit about that, would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's a good question. I think with liquidity tokens, you mean the liquid staking solution that offers derivative tokens, right?
Exactly.
Yes, that's a very good question, and I think we get asked that question, like if Peacetake is offering that type of staking, why are you with Audit still building something else that offers normal staking? But that's literally the answer is what you said, is that institutional investors might not be interested in receiving those derivative tokens because it's treated differently in many jurisdictions. I believe it's treated differently because you receive a derivative token. It's kind of seen as a swap. You give one token, you receive something else, which is a different type of trade than whether you just stake your tokens. So liquid staking and staking solutions are really two different options, and not everyone has the same requirements there. And when it comes to like what actually it is that it's doing, it's really two different products basically, and we want to offer both. Where liquid staking we offer with Peacetake, and staking itself we offer through Audit.one.
Cool. By the way, you mentioned that you guys support a lot of different chains and networks. What was sort of your journey in adding more protocols and more staking, services, and why not ETH, from the get-go or at an earlier stage? Like, what's behind that?
Yeah, good question. And I mean, I must admit, I've also not been there for the entire history. But basically, we come out of the Cosmos ecosystem to begin with. Like, persistence is built on the Cosmos SDK. So that's kind of naturally where we came from. And Ethereum, like, it's always been on our radar, but I think we've mainly focused on Tendermint-based chains to begin with. Grew from there. Added a few others because that's where we felt we could make the biggest impact as well. Ethereum, there was already so much going on. I think by the time that persistence launched, it was at that point maybe not really a focus for us. But now that we really see it taking off, I think it's important for us to be present there, and now especially that we have built up our reputation on other chains, I think it's time for us to also play the game on the Ethereum ecosystem and show there what we can offer.
I have a question specifically about the Ethereum ecosystem. Now that you guys are entering, I mean, you are very well familiar with proof of stake, but you're entering a new realm of ETH. So my question is, are there any technological or any insights that you have learned from POS on Ethereum versus other chains that you guys are running with?
Yeah, so proof of stakes, how it works on Ethereum is quite different from how it works for the Cosmos ecosystems. In the Cosmos ecosystem, it's majorly delegated proof of stake, where you run a validator and any amount of delegations can be put on your validator. And in the Ethereum ecosystem, you have to like specify a 32 amount Ethereum to run a validator node. You can't like stake any more than 32 ETH and any less than 32 ETH. So that's kind of what the difference is in the Ethereum ecosystem, on the proof of stake ecosystem and the delegated proof of stake ecosystem. So for that, we are building this staking protocol, so that anyone who has even lesser ETH, let's say 1 ETH or something like that, can stake on our protocol instead of having him collecting 32 ETH and running his own validator.
I mean, that's a great segue to talking about the relationship between SSV and how it fits into that scheme. So maybe a few words about how you guys stumbled upon SSV and how that works in the planning for ETH2 moving forward.
I think it was Rohit who, I mean, Rohit, you mentioned SSV first, I think. I think maybe you can elaborate a bit on that.
Yeah. So Mikhail, one of the marketing guys, mentioned that there are some, like I was using MPC for the Cosmos ecosystem. MPC uses same fundamentals of splitting the keys and using multiple signers to run a validator. Same with some fault tolerance, just like the SSV thing, but it was on the Cosmos ecosystem. The way they work are like the concept was same, the way of working was different. When coming to we were searching for the solution because there is like currently what happens is you create a key and you run a validator client and the key is there on the validator client itself. It's nowhere else. So if the validator client goes down, your validator node goes down. So we were searching for some solutions which could like mitigate the risk of downtime of the clients, and also basically the key is divided, so malicious activities are also like confined in that way. So we came across two of the solutions. One was the SSV one was the OVOL networks. Both of them was granted some from the Ethereum community to work on the like key splitting part. So I started using SSV last year. I came across it. Then there was I had a call with the Met guy and he explained what they are doing and all those things. So we started participating in the SSV from the last year itself, and I found the solution quite amusing. How you're using all the a consensus layer and IBFT to run all the validator clients, and multiple validator clients can be run through single SSV nodes. That's also a good thing. So basically, yeah, you came across me when I was searching for a solution for the key splitting part and key management.
I'm curious to know, you guys right now, you don't have an Ethereum staking service. So what you're planning to do is to launch your Ethereum staking service on top of SSV, or are you going to do two things? So one is the SSV based staking service, pooling, staking pools and all of that. And another is a Peacetake 32 ETH, plain vanilla staking service. What is your sort of ideas for the future when it comes to ETH staking?
Yeah, so the plan was always to offer ETH staking as a different product from liquid staking. So liquid staking is Peacetake, which as well as contains pooling and all those things, but in like liquid staking format. With Audit, the plan was to build a staking solution, and we have. I mean, we're not the earliest in the market, to be honest, to offer a staking solution for Ethereum. We could build something that just follows what other people in the market do, allows for staking. But we thought, and we came across SSV and saw this as an opportunity, first of all, to further decentralize staking of Ethereum, of ETH. But also as a way to diversify and to kind of make our proposal more unique in the market that already exists. So yeah, the plan for us with Audit is to build an ETH staking solution, which is fully built on top of SSV, if that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. That's really cool. So basically, it's a way for you to differentiate yourselves from other services, be more decentralized, and obviously stay ahead of the curve when it comes to the staking tech. So if the general sort of trend in blockchain in general is decentralization, that also applies for layer 0 and staking, and you want to be there first, which exactly. Makes it total. I'm obviously biased, but I totally get it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's really the plan there. And I mean, in that sense, like, yeah, if we would have thought about it ourselves, then obviously we would have, maybe, I don't know if we would have ever developed it, but I mean, it's great that it's out there as a protocol for everyone to use, and yeah, I think it's going to be amazing if we have that solution in place for people to have more confidence in staking. And it's also like for us, I hope it will be easier for us to convince bigger clients to stake with us, because now we don't have to convince them to just rely on us, but now we can kind of say, now you have to rely on 3 out of 4 at least to always be up instead of just us. So I think that makes a difference as well in terms of attracting more capital into staking.
By the way, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry for jumping in. I have a kind of a question regarding the actual way you're going to diversify or decentralize your staking setup. So there's, from what we're seeing right now, there's 2 main areas where people want to split or use ssv.network. One is to split it between multiple operators that know nothing about one another, operate on different cloud providers, different setups, different clients, you name it. The other version is splitting the same validator between 4 different setups belonging to the same operator. So let's say operator, name irrelevant, set up on Nimbus, set up on Prism, set up on Teku, and so on, different clients. Again, same concept, 1 operator. Have you guys given it any thought, or is there something you can share regarding the tech stack that you're planning on implementing for this?
An interesting question. I mean, I must admit, I haven't thought of it. Maybe Rohit has. I was envisioning it as having 4 different operators, also with different setups, so that we're not all 4 running Prism, for example. But yeah, that's how I saw it. Not sure, Rohit, if you've tested around with.
Yeah, so I have tested around with like 2 of the Lighthouse clients and 2 of the Prism clients. So I ran into some trouble with there. So basically it works fine, but like bringing in more expertise from more node operators, which has already been validating on the Ethereum ecosystem, will be a great plus for us also. So how they manage their nodes and what clients they are using. So basically it will diversify both in the case of where they are located, what cloud providers they are using, and what Ethereum 2 clients they are using. So it depends on the operator itself. So for initial part, we'll be splitting it up like you can say, it will be up to the operator what they want to use. And in sideways, we'll be testing if like a single operator can use multiple clients and it will give the same performance as of now or not.
I think one interesting concept there as well, that you could kind of have pools. Like, I mean, let's say we assume it's going to be 4 node operators, where you can have 3 well-known and reputable node operators that can actually have a 4th one that is maybe small and upcoming, that is not 100% certain yet of how good they will operate, but you can kind of guide those people into starting to run as well, and they can learn, and it's allowed to make mistakes because there is that fault tolerance aspect of it. So I think that could be quite interesting to see if we can support smaller ones there as well, to kind of learn the things without risking getting slashed, of course.
Yeah.
One of the things, by the way, that we are right now in the process of sort of considering to develop on a protocol level is a way to incentivize decentralization and sort of long tail operators in the, as an incentive mechanism on the fee structure level. So essentially, if you use operators which might be smaller but have good performance and are maybe using minority clients, you'll be in a position where you can maybe pay less network fees, and then it will, incentivize people on the protocol level to choose, minority clients or long tail operators, and sort of diversify their keys between different operators that otherwise they might have not, chosen. So right now we're seeing, for example, 65 to 70% dominance for Prism in the protocol. And I think it's very hard to change, even though there are a lot of, prominent figures in the Ethereum ecosystem that are kind of pushing towards more decentralization in this respect. But if we are actually incentivizing people to, choose minority clients and smaller operators, it could be, a pretty interesting experiment. It might, work well in favor of, making Ethereum more healthy and decentralized as a whole. So we'll share more details about that in the future, but I definitely share your sort of idea and value of choosing smaller operators and trying to diversify your operation and your keys across as many smaller players as you can.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I'm super excited to read more about that.
Yeah. Coming soon, VD.
VD.
Now I think it would be a great segue. I already had it planned. Put in the back screen right there. You can see Audit.one's operator. You can see the stats, how many people are using them. That's on the Explorer. You guys can check that out. No problem. You can reach out to them on Discord as well if they have any questions. They also mentioned that there's a new website coming up soon, so we'll make sure to send the updated link with the new information once it comes up. But guys, I think that the community would love to hear more about specifics regarding what you guys are planning. So I'm actually putting in the back screen right here the proposal that you guys added to the forum. Everyone can see it. It's available to everyone. This is quite a big proposal, one of the biggest ones to come across our way. So we're super excited about this one. Guys, I'd love to hear in your own words what this is about and what you're bringing into the table for the community to enjoy.
Sure. Okay, cool. I'm going to try to not just read it and try to kind of say it in my own words. Basically with Audit.one, we want to build staking products and then a platform basically that facilitates staking across multiple networks, Ethereum being one of them. Obviously is going to be an important one. And we're already building solutions for that, right? We basically want to make it super easy for users to stake, ideally, if that's required, like to pool as well. We want to build features where people can just auto compound their rewards. And that's not only on Ethereum, like it's literally like on all the protocols, that's a bit of an issue, people claiming and they have to claim and restake and so on. It's sometimes not that easy to track how everything is doing. So we kind of want to build solutions for that for our users. So we were already in the process of building that. Now for Ethereum specifically, I think as we mentioned, we just believe in the vision of a SSV and the way that it basically removes us as a single point of failure. And we want to bring SSV into that solution for our Ethereum staking and really use that as the main or the only way to stake ETH with us. For that, we also realized that as with the SSV solution that is out there, or as it stands at the moment, there are a few extra complexities that come with that. So from extra decentralization kind of comes with extra complexity, I think. And it means for users, whether that's retail or institutional, it's to analyze and trust 4 different operators. If we're working with 4, if it's going to be 7, it's going to be more and harder even. But it kind of makes it hard for a user to understand, like they have to now research 4 node operators and they have to compare, okay, are they well split out across different clients? And that makes it harder. And then for institutions, especially, I think compliance-wise, that makes it also quite complex because they're now using multiple parties in specific applications. So we thought we'd use something where we kind of make that easier. Another thing that kind of makes it complex, and it's not super clear yet, I think, on the roadmap as in how SSV tokens exactly will be used to paying fees. But how I see it now is that people would have to stake ETH and they would have to pay fees with SSV tokens. So that would be meaning multiple transactions. And we kind of want to eliminate all friction and basically be able to pay the transactions from the protocol itself. So as long as the protocol generates specific income, we can use actually the income generated by the protocol to swap that into SSV tokens to then pay the operators for spinning up more nodes. And obviously that requires a bit of prepayment in the beginning to fund those fees. But once the ball gets rolling, that would actually be a nicer solution than having the users pay for the fees themselves as a non-integrated solution. So that's where, we came up with this idea of offering that all through a staking pool, where also you're not forced to have 32 ETH, but you can do it with less than that. There might be a lower limit of 0.1 ETH, for example, to kind of make it viable. But that would be the idea, that all of this can be used in a pooling contract, so that we do the pooling in the background. As soon as we have 32 ETH, we spin up a new validator that gets basically the keys get split across these operators that are nicely diversified. To just make that entire transaction super easy for a user to see what's going on, how many rewards have I gained, and once withdrawals are enabled, to also make that an easy process as well. But there we are a bit depending, obviously, on the solutions that will be activated.
So
maybe
so
I'll pause there for questions.
Right?
I'll pause there for questions. I've talked a lot now.
So first of all, this is really cool, and I think much needed. The way we see sort of adoption happening for SSV in the future is definitely not by people coming in and using SSV directly and staking using our protocol, but companies and teams like you guys coming and building applications and interesting use cases on top of the technology, which allows people an easier access to the network. So basically, what you guys are sort of attacking are three main problems. One is obviously, the economic hurdle. So instead of the need to have 32 ETH, which is $100,000, then people are able to use any number of ETH to join a pool and enjoy staking rewards. So that's one thing. A second thing is a smart curation of a node cluster, right? So in the background you'll be able to choose the best nodes and maybe switch between nodes for users. So from a user perspective, they don't need to go to the network in the Explorer and then see each and every node and mix and match, understand what kind of cluster is the right one for them. And obviously the third part is the SSV payment hurdle, which will require the user to have two transactions. And obviously it's a could say a friction in terms of the user flow. So am I kind of describing it the right way?
Yeah, that sums it up perfectly, I guess. That's exactly it. And I mean, it will take a few steps to get there. But that's mainly it. Yeah.
So can you maybe walk us through your ideas when it comes to generating a node cluster? So how will your sort of selection process happen in the background? Obviously, you don't have all the answers at this point in time, but what is the framework that you guys are going to use in order to basically define the right cluster for a number of pools or generally for your service?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I mean, a lot of this is still to be defined. I think from our proposal, I mean, how we currently see it is that in the first version, we will assemble a first set of operators that we know and that we trust, and that we also see in the incentivized testnet that performs well, that is well diversified, so that in the first version of the product, we can just advertise it as such, that look, these are the 4 operators that will be operating this pool. There's literally almost no risk here because you can see who they are, and it's very clear from there. That makes it a bit easier to begin with if we just start with 4 selected operators. Now, that's obviously not what we want to build in the long term, but because that would centralize the whole thing again, just across 4 operators. So that's not ideal. So the idea is to have something there that really allows users or operators to kind of propose pools themselves, to say, look, we can work together, we can set up a cluster to meet certain requirements. Okay, with the 4 of us, we'll have these different clients covered, we'll be decentralized from a location perspective, and we basically allow over time operators to form those groups themselves. Or yeah, that's kind of how we see it. But yeah, initially we would start with one pool that we would pull together at some point, to be seen there how that formation process would go, whether that's whether that's a voting thing within the community or yeah, I don't know, still to be decided. But the idea is to limit it at first, to then open it up for basically anyone and everyone. But then we would still obviously need something that is also clear towards the front end, because otherwise you'll basically end up with the same situation where users now have to choose between pools of 4, and if there's 100 different pools there with no clear explanation of why one would be better than the other. So yeah, I think that will have to be curated towards like, okay, what are you looking for? And maybe we can have something on our front end that says, look, we're looking for decentralization when it comes to location, or we're looking for decentralization when it comes to clients, and something like that, where it makes it basically easy to choose which pool is best for you.
This is really cool. So maybe having a few themes, so sort of a thematic theme-based selection. So let's say if you want to have
kind of thing,
maximal, geo, I don't know, distribution, or to have like nodes that comprise the 4 or 4 plus major clients in the Ethereum ecosystem, or only nodes that perform 99.9% of the time. So this could be a really cool sort of mix and match for your users. It's an interesting idea. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, maybe also like again for institutional clients, so for really reliable and trusted counterparties, because many of the node operators are not identified. So this would be really a solution where you facilitate KYC so that they really know who they are dealing with. I think that's also a big part of the proposition there, to facilitate that and have institutional clients know who they are dealing with.
I would add to it another layer of complexity. So obviously there is a pool selection process, but then there's also sort of oversight and management. So after you select a certain amount of nodes, then you need to sort of check in on those nodes every once in a while and make sure that everybody's online, everybody's performing the best way possible. And if one of the nodes is not performing well, obviously very soon in the protocol we're going to add the feature of reconstructing your node cluster. So basically, if you have one node that is faulty or offline, you can choose a new set of nodes to operate your pool or to operate your validator. So I think a service that helps you with the selection process, but also with the maintenance side of things is also super important. And maintenance can come in the form of one node is offline, or one node is, I don't know, more expensive now, and then maybe you want to optimize your cost structure. There are different mix and matches that you can consider, but I think eventually a service like you guys, like in the front end, you'll choose maybe 4 nodes, but you'll have maybe 2 or 3 redundancy nodes, and if something goes wrong, you'll have sort of the ability to recreate the structure for the users, so they'll always be optimized to the maximal level that they're looking. So if it's a cost, or I don't know, geolocation, or whatever it is, or uptime, or all of the above.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, redundancies, must admit I haven't thought of it, maybe Rohit has, but yeah, I think really depending there on what the SSV protocol will come with in the future. But yeah, we're also open and used to kind of change to the environment, and yeah, we're happy to look at all the options that come across our path. So yeah, super excited for that.
So it's kind of a shameless plugin, but basically in a month and a half or 2 months from now, no commitments, but that's sort of the structure that we have right now in terms of timelines. We're going to launch our V2, testnet V2, or what we call internally a contracts V2. That's going to be a redeployment of the entire contract structure pertaining to the network. And there you'll have the token itself, obviously operating on a protocol level, so the tokenomics and everything involved. And obviously the ability to recreate a cluster. So let's say you chose the validator run by 4 different nodes, and now you want to recreate the cluster because one of the nodes went offline, or the company is not, I don't know, operating anymore, whatever reason there is. Now you want to create a new cluster, so you just basically recreate the keys and then redistribute them to a new set of nodes, which will be pretty useful for your users or any users of staking services that are built on top of SSV.
Awesome. Yeah, cool.
Cool. So I guess go ahead, Eran. You want to say anything?
Just putting on the moderation hat here, just making sure that we're not running out of time because we're getting a little carried away. We could be, I'm sure you guys didn't notice, but it's been quite a while that we haven't even touched on the timeline. So I just want to touch a little bit on the timelines and sort of how is this going to look, deliverables to the community, stuff that people can touch and feel. Maybe you can share a few words about that, and then we'll have some closing wrapping sentences. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Want me to go, Rohit, or you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, in terms of timelines, so we hope. We're always trying to be aggressive with timelines because often if you set yourself too long of a target, you just will take as much time as you give yourself. So we try to be aggressive there.
True.
Also knowing that the merge is coming up, and we kind of want to be ready by the time that that happens, because I think it will really create a lot of noise in the industry, and people will start to realize like what's actually the potential of ETH staking. So first target timeline for the V1 is to be ready by the end of April, somewhere with the first version of it. Then that would be the one curated set of operators, simplified form, not too many details on the front end, but really more building the backend part of it with a simple UI maybe on top. But yeah, basic. And then in the version 2, we want to elaborate on that, start allowing multiple curated set of operators, which would hopefully be ready by the summer, so July 22. But there again, depending on the timeline of the merge, we'll have to possibly adjust there. Also depending on the timeline of like the enabling of withdrawals with ETH. And then the V3, as we call it in our proposal, that would be more towards the end of the year, so towards October 2022. That should be,
Right.
Hopefully, I would like to say that will be the complete version, but we know it won't. There will be a V4 and V5, and this will continuously evolve. But yeah, it's so far in the future that we don't want to elaborate too much on it yet, and we'll adjust as it comes.
So the first, real palpable thing the community will be able to see is V2 around merge time, more or less.
Well, I hope we'll be on testnet a bit before that, so that we can test it out obviously properly. Yeah, we'll see how well that goes, and I think we have a lot of faith in Rohit and the team to make that all happen. Yeah, that's the rough estimate for now.
Yeah. We're gonna make sure the community members address all the difficult questions to Rohit, so you guys can definitely reach out to him on Discord with all the difficult questions. This is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, proposal that the network has seen so far. So really take your time reviewing this and going over the details, making sure you understand everything. Adam, do you have any other questions? Yeah,
Can I
go ahead,
maybe
Roy.
add one more thing to the proposal? So just to clarify there that we're not asking for a grant to fund all of our developments in the ETH staking solution that we plan to offer, because we were planning on ETH staking anyway. So we're really only requesting a grant for the parts that make our development effort a lot higher or more difficult due to the implementation with SSV. So I saw that was a question earlier on the forum, which we've been answered in the meantime. But yeah, just want to clarify that we're just asking this grant for the things that are different from our original solution that we had in mind.
Mm-hmm. Great. Adam, are there any questions left for you before we wrap things up?
From my end, no. I just wanted to thank you for all the effort and the thought process you've been dedicating to the network and building applications on top of the protocol. This is exactly what we dreamed of and imagined when we started to write the first line of code. The ssv network code. I think even more than a year ago. So it's super exciting to see everything coming to fruition. I do really believe in sort of the future of staking pools in Ethereum and potentially in other POS networks as well, really being built the right way on top of protocols like SSV. And yeah, I'm super excited to potentially work with you guys. I guess from here on end, it's the DAO's decision if to pass this or not. But you certainly have my vote, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity also to talk about it and kind of explain it. And we welcome all questions, obviously, from community members or from the DAO to further clarify whatever is needed. And yeah, we're really excited about this, and we hope to kind of set a new standard in staking or staking pools on Ethereum with using SSV as a default.
Great. I enjoyed myself particularly. This was a great discussion. Thank you for sharing all the information. Rohit, thank you for giving us the behind the scenes information. We'll be in touch with you guys. We'll share with you the video. We'll share it with the community. We'll make sure they know all the information. We need to make sure that there is as much information as possible out there so people can make the right logical decision when they vote. So again, thank you everyone for your time. And we will talk soon.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.